Hello everyone. What I'm going to show you in this video is a three-part video, and it's about how can you extract the financial data from the Security Exchange website for the public listed companies. An important component is, or an important understanding is, all the other websites or files or paid memberships that you see are all built on the same fundamentals of how we get this data. And this data is the same data. You just add certain graphs, tables, colors, and that makes it look a lot better than it is. But in essence, it's the same information. I'm going to show you how you can extract that basic information. Part one of the video, I'm going to show you a simple app anybody can use. You don't need any coding. You don't need any experience. You don't even need to open any website. All you need to do is access my link from my GitHub. You'll find that down in the YouTube video, and that will take you to my repository. And in my repository, you'll see the code if you're interested in the Python side. And you can just click on code, download the zip file, extract it. The one thing that we care about is the distribution file, and that's where the application will be. If I go here and I want to see like the distribution file, I'll see main app run. This is what you'll see. You'll click on distribution, and you just have to click this file. This file will usually take a little bit to load, a minute, and I'll show you the reasons why later, because it's always using fresh data, and that's important as well to make sure that everything is the latest at all times. The application is a simple user form, very, very easy to understand. In some ways, should it really need a guide to it? You'll see a first column. You can change the appearance. You can change the scale. These buttons are disabled for now. I'll later on add some features to them. This column is called Select Company. You have a search feature here. You can select companies here, either using control and selecting individual companies, or you can do just like a drag down like this. So let's say I drag down like this. Now I'll see here you have to put your user input. I personally couldn't care about your user input, but this is what the Security Exchange website mandates every request to have. So I'll just put it in John Doe. I'll put John Doe at hotmail.com as an example. And you just need to select either Excel or database. And then over here, browse data, like just choose a folder where you want this information to download. I have this folder already, they're empty. And let's say I'm selecting companies like Apple, Amazon, NVIDIA, TSM. You'll see the names of the companies selected. You'll see their central index key number that for these companies, and you'll also see their ticker. Now, this window is just for show, to show you what you selected, and this window is just for output, and they're not important. The only main key output where your input is needed is point 1 and point 2, these two frames. You click submit, go to where the file folder is, and you start seeing that these files will start appearing for the different companies you've selected. So now I can see the Apple one is already running, and I'll soon see NVIDIA, TSM, United Health. Now, once the first one loads, we can open the file to see the contents, whilst the other one. So now we can open Apple, for example. And what you're going to have is, you're going to have everything that they've logged in. So you'll see here the property name, and these are hyperlinks to the different worksheets. These worksheet names are unfortunately odd-looking, and that's because we're capped with the number of characters that we can have for a worksheet name. And we can see here different apps. So I can see, for example, let's say cash equivalent at carrying. I'll just click it, and it will give me here the account, the value, the financial year, etc., when it was filled, in the type of form. I'll go back to my table of contents, and similarly, I can just click cash here, and I'll see that this is everything that's been logged. So certain stuff can no longer be used. They were there previously. You'll see everything over here. You'll see dividends, earning per share, whatever you want. There's literally 495 tables to go through. And you'll find the values here. Now, in every sheet, you'll see a couple of consistencies. You'll see a row 1, array parameter name, and the name, accounts payable. You'll see the label name. You'll see when it was stopped as well. So this is from 2009. So there'll probably be a table right after it where you'll see the rest of the data. You'll also see the carrying, basically a description of what it is. That's the property name, the units, and then here you have the values, etc. And you can see all the data is up to the latest filing that they've done. Now, if I go back, this already happened for all the other companies, and that's pretty much it. Gives you a little message, extraction and download. It's completed, so you're done. Now, you can just click database. Now, of course, all the companies got 0, so you just got to reselect again. So let's say MasterCard, I want this time, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, and ASML, and then I'll just click submit. Now we're going to get it in database format. Now, the file, the application that I like to use is SQLite. It's free. I just use that directly. And let's say now this was already loaded. I'll see that 593 tables for MasterCard. I can go through the individual tables and see what it is. And finally, there's one thing in database that's not in Excel, and that's a filing list. And the filing list is just a different API command. And that basically tells you every form, every filing, and the link to it if you're interested in that. I personally prefer database for querying it for many different reasons, but Excel is the more user-friendly, the one that people are most familiar with, the one that people can use simple VBA macros or get through ChatGPT to give whatever graphs they want or to keep whatever information, delete whatever information that they don't want. I get that part towards it. Now, this is now completed. I go to there. I'll find everything that all these companies already downloaded. You can do it as many times as you'd like. That's pretty much the end of part one. It's just showing you how to do it. Literally don't need anything. Just download that file. Maybe one quick thing is when you go back to where your file ran, you'll see a config. This is basically just going to save your details so that every time you run this app, you don't have to go back and fill your user input again. And that's pretty much it. Also, the search feature, if you're interested, just type in something, Apple, for example, or whatever you want. Very basic. And yeah, you can literally also drag all the companies at once. It's just going to take ages to download, but you can do that. You don't have to be concerned. And that pretty much is how this application works. Now, that's the end of part one. Now, for part two, our focus is how does this work, but without the coding aspect. Just what are the steps that we're taking to get to where we are? And the steps that we're taking is the Security Exchange website has literally just a one-pager of the different commands. They're very basic. This gives you this link gives you the submissions. This link here, if you're looking for a specific parameter and for a company, and then this one is the one that a key one, because this one gives you everything, and that's the one that we're using. And you can see here, it's basically a link to a website, and then here you have to fill the central index key for a company. The one thing that I would like people to pay attention to is you have to have 10 digits. So for example, it's loaded up here. Nothing, of course, is going to come up because you didn't put your central index key. Let's say we go to Apple and we take their central index key. We'll notice that Apple's one is only 6 digits and we need 10. So we just fill the rest with zeros. And that's what the code is doing. It's filling the rest with zeros. So you just need to plug in 4 zeros. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to get the JSON file. If this looks confusing to you, this is just basically a JSON file, a way of encoding data on the websites. Pretty basic. It's actually just lists within lists within lists within lists within dents. That's all it is. So if I just want to select all, and you can use these websites like codebeautify.org, just copy paste it, and here will show it to you in a cleaner format. Basically, an easier way to read it. And it takes a bit of time just because of the data that it is and filing it. So we can just collapsing everything to see it. And we'll see here objects, CIK number, entity name, facts. And then basically what my code is doing is it's taking every item under facts and it's placing it in a separate table. And each item has a label, a description, and units. Units is basically every filing and the value for it. And that's all you're getting. That's pretty much it. So each one of these is just a table, a table, a table, a table, etc. And that's all it is. And that's pretty much it. Now the reason why I asked for why I asked for a user input and why I put an email, it's not because I care about it. It's because the Security Exchange wants you to put that. So it says here, when I click on the developer's queries, it says, I want to download the Edgar files. Can you help for guidance? And it says that maximum access rate is 10 requests per second. So my code actually caps that. So every request is done with a 10-second gap in between. And it requests, please declare your user agent. So I have to put company name or your name and your email when that happens. And that's why these two pieces of information are needed as a user input. And do you have a file that maps company tickers, CIK company names? Yes. And then they have it here. And this is why I said that it takes the time for the data to load, because every time it opens this link and copies the data here, in case the Security Exchange website updates anything, you always have the latest information. That's pretty much it. It's pretty straightforward. The code, now I'm just going to show you the code towards it, and that will be the final part, which is part 3. So for part 3, the actual code on Visual Studio, where I've done it, you have 3 classes, and you just have main running file, which is literally just one line about running it. I could have actually placed it above, doesn't matter, and 3 classes. First class is the custom Tkinter. Now, Tkinter is just basically a Python library that you can use to design very basic user forms. This custom library has been designed by somebody, and it just makes it a lot easier. It makes it look a lot better, and that's all it is. You can always go to ChatGPT, Control-C, Control-V, anything you don't know, and ask it to explain it to you. This just basically is how I'm setting up my grids, how I'm setting up my rows, my frames, my buttons, etc. Now, my second class, DB connection, that's what I use to open links, folders, closing connections, opening connections with my database. Pretty straightforward. There's only a few functions. You can go through them. They should be close, open, and then this creates a table of contents in database. I could have placed it elsewhere, and then creating a folder, and that's it. The main class is the filing links class. And over here, this is defined by, first it's initialized with your company number, folder path, user agent, which is your user input information, and the companies you've selected. And then it has here a code. This code is basically, again, I've done some of this through DocuString. I've done this through a library so that it can tell you exactly what the arguments, returns, and examples. So this is basically the link, which we saw the website. And this just replaces your CIK number. Sleep means you get 10 seconds requests. That basically puts a gap between your requests. And this is just to catch errors below. This function is file open. Literally just checks if a file is open. So, example, if you're downloading an Apple Excel sheet, an Apple's information on an Excel sheet, and you already have an Apple Excel sheet open, this will flag an error to inform you that you have a file open. Please close it. Sanitize a file name. This basically takes out special characters, very important with Excel. And when you want to save a file within database inside, doesn't matter. Formatting your values as USD. So every time it sees a USD, rather than having it as 1000, it adds a $sign, turns it into a currency to 1,000. This is the database version of it. This gets your company facts. This is basically the database version of what happens after you open that JSON file, all the different loops and how it extracts every table. It uses Pandas library. Formatting your values as USD. This is the Excel version of doing that. Getting unique sheet names. This is very important for worksheet names. They're capped at 31 characters, no special characters. And you're going to have a lot of duplicate names because a lot of these parameters will share the same first 31 characters. So this adds the number 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. to it. This creates your hyperlinks, which is what you saw in Excel. Getting the company facts, JSON. This is basically the Excel version of it. Again, you'll see that I put some DocuString, but if you're still not clear, Control-C, Control-V to ChatGPT to explain it to you. Truncate sheet name. This does the exact same thing as sanitize, but it basically only returns 26 characters, and this enables you to add 1, 2, and 3, and 4 after without getting to 31 characters. And then this one is getting your submission content. This is basically what we saw only in database, and that's your filing links. This is a different link than usual. This is for submissions, not company facts. And this basically gives you every submission that was logged and the link. This is only for using database. The only reason I didn't do it in Excel is I don't think people were going to wonder that in Excel would care so much about having this shown there. This is more important when you database work. And that's pretty much it. Everything is on GitHub. You can find it there. Feel free to suggest any modifications. Again, this is phase 1, or actually pre-phase 1. So this is how everything is built on. This is all the data for a company. Now, what I plan to do in the future with it is first start cleaning up the data. That's phase 1, making sure it's consistent between companies. Phase 2 would be to then adopt machine learning libraries like Scikit or TensorFlow. And from there, that will give me an understanding what could I potentially do in phase 3, depending on the results that I'm getting in phase 2. I do hope you enjoy it. I do hope you find it useful. If you're not into coding, part 1, that's all you need. You want to understand the background behind what's in part 1, part 2. And if you want to understand the Python code behind it, that's part 3. Again, you're not sure of anything, Control-C, Control-V, ChatGPT, it will tell you exactly what I'm trying to achieve. I do hope you find it useful, and thank you for listening to it.